Hello everyone, and welcome to Kyzer and the Voices. I'm Kyzer Acheron, the host with the voices, and welcome back to Kyzer Plays Sayonara Wild Hearts. So in the last episode, I pretty much gushed about my love for this game and explained a few of my theories as to what it means, as well as demonstrating some of the ways that you could get a higher score while playing this game if you're just starting out. And in this episode, we continue down that path as we head to Heartbreak 3, which leads me into the Lovers. And if you thought each of these Heartbreak subspace tunnels was going to be the same type of deal, oh, you'd be wrong, because the tower is literal. We have to drive up a literal tower created by the Lovers. So, let's go, and let's climb. Now, how a motorcycle is driving up a set of stairs like this, I don't know. Maybe it has the hydraulics to do it. But it's still freaking nuts to see a motorcycle driving up a set of stairs. Now here comes that timing again. Time every press just right, and you will make it up these stairs, as well as these spinning stairs. So watch what you manage to do on here. Now, the first of the gold cards is going to be tricky to find. You might be confused, but here's where it is. Under this wheel. Hit it, then get the boost, grab the hearts, and jump on the card. Because we're going to fly! Yeah, flying on a card upwards instead of surfing on it. Now, this leads into the meteors, so dodge them, grab as many hearts as you can, and the second card is here, between these meteors. Grab it, and you're good to go!
Gold rank.
Gold rank is pretty easy to achieve in this level because it's a bit slower. The slower songs tend to be easier when it comes to this sort of thing. But now it leads me on to one of the faster paced songs, Hearts and Swords. Now, this one is quick. And I do mean this. It's very fast paced, so you're gonna have to watch carefully to figure this one out. But I'll try my best to describe it as we enter Twilight Cry Sky. Now, to me, this is where my theory hits a bit of a snag, because I personally believe that this particular level represents their denial about the death. Like, they're trying to hide it and deny that it's real, you know? And it makes sense with the villain of this particular level, which we'll get to in, I'd say, about a minute. So yeah, this also introduces us to the spin mechanic. Basically, those circular pads will spin ya. So what you gotta do is choose the right path to get the best points. I say choose the right paths and grab as many of those hearts as you can, because that's where the golden cards are gonna be. Stick to the left, right, and left sides respectively, and there we meet our villain. Now, you'd think, wait, just one? That seems a bit odd, right? But she gives you a sword. What for? Well, one sword fight later and I'll tell ya. Basically, jump, dash, and dodge, and then cut her in half! Literally. Because this girl is in stereo. That's right. Stereo Lovers is our third boss fight. Now, these two are a crazy bunch. They might not seem like much at first, but they have powers that the other two don't have. Why is that? Well, what does stereo usually mean? Left and right. Notice their snaps? Notice how the environments change? Yeah, we're going to parallel dimensions. And we have to drive through both at the same time. So, in this instance, it's memorizing both paths and predicting where you need to go for each pathway. First gold card is here on the far left-hand side. Now notice their snaps get faster and you're now going between 3 dimensions. Hearts are going to be on the left and right-hand sides respectively, and then the main dimension is going to have big hearts that you can collect. So just switch between and make sure to stay on the lane that has the hearts. Second gold card up ahead here. It's a bit tricky, but it's possible to collect. Now is when they snap and clap, meaning you're going through 3 dimensions in a 1 clap, 2 clap motion. So keep that in mind as you go left to right. Grab as many hearts as you can between each dimension. If you can get some risky points by dodging the fan blades, I'd welcome it, but try more to get the points as they come. I almost bit the dust there. Now stay on the right path, left path, switch to the right. Now go center to get the third gold card. And that takes care of parallel dimensions. Personally, a slow song like that wouldn't be on my top for any reason, and did I get a high score from that? Really? Huh, who knew? But yeah, normally I wouldn't enjoy a slower song like this, but the gimmick of switching between dimensions makes it interesting. You have to basically time each movement based on what dimension you're going to be jumping into, and when it gets more fast-paced, it gets more, hectic, trying to keep track of it. Once you find the pattern with each of them, it becomes easier, but the first few times it's going to be tricky. Now, on to the final song of Stereo Lovers, Mine. Now, this is where I feel the denial comes into play, because essentially, they're trying to love again, or at the very least, that's what the implication is. But the love that they're trying to recreate isn't real, and they're okay with it being fake. And the lyrics just prompt me to think that maybe, with her trying to move on, she's not able to because she knows it's not real. The feelings she has are synthetic, they're made up. Also, the first gold card is on the right-hand side. Now get ready to block, because these girls are coming in swinging, and they got massive freaking swords. Even Cloud would blush seeing these things. So block and go onto the path where the hearts are, jump, and then charge, slash, and hit them. Now give chase as you jump from building to building. Now, go to the left-hand side here, grab the hearts, now move to the center, jump all the way to this side, and let's go. Block, slash. And now, well, the swords get even bigger, if you can believe that. Alright, grab the first two big hearts, then go all the way to the left-hand side for the third gold card, last one, and just keep grabbing these hearts as you dodge them, literally stabbing into the skylines. And now they're just getting cheap because they're going to break the roads we drive on. But that's okay. We can always just fly across them. Basically, each path has a set number of hearts, which leads you down to where the big heart's going to be. Drive through it, and you are safe to go. Now, if you thought the giant swords was nuts, how about a sword ship? But again, that's okay. We got one too. I mean, it's not as impressive, but we make do. So dodge down. Then to the left, dodge down again, and then to the right-hand side, and then one well-timed jump, and a charge up takes down the Stereo Lovers. And notice how one of them wasn't even real, it was an illusion, much like the feelings she's fabricating. It's interesting to see it as a sort of 5 stages of grief. Now, I don't know if that's what the developers were intending, but personally, that's my takeaway from it. This girl, even though she's helping another world to restore their order and their balance, she hasn't really come to terms with the balance that she needs in her life, has she? And she's dealing with all these different stages of grief and sadness and, all these powerful emotions because she has yet to come to terms with it. And coming to terms with death, it's not easy. It takes time. And I feel that this journey she's going through is kind of forcing her to confront it. Now, whether or not each of the characters that you fight represent people that she knew in real life is another story, because we don't get those details. But it's fun to create and think of, what it could be, what the possibility of the story is, like the deeper meaning. And personally, I feel that is more what it is. She's dealing with the death of a loved one, and she's also trying to deal with being the savior of this alternate dimension. So she's trying to confront all this at once, and it gets heavy, So yeah, with that said, moving on to Heartbreak 4, which leads into the 4th stage of grief, bargaining, with the Hermit. Now, this seems a bit self-explanatory, but there's a bit of a deeper layer to it. And this particular path is where the speed gets quick. So once you start getting hearts, follow the path and do not let up. Keep on it as much as you can, and you'll start off with a heaping load of points. And this is also where teleporting comes into play, at least for this stage. So once you teleport, yeah, you go through the level itself. And that's where a lot of the point breaks come into play. The first card will be in the center, like I showed just there. And then we're going to do another flying thing, like in the tower. Only in this instance, we're flying past meteors and teleporting to other sides. Second card's going to be in the middle, just grab it and go. Alright, teleports here. And more teleports here. Third card is up there. I missed it because that one is honestly the trickiest card to get. If you miss the teleport, don't feel discouraged. Honestly, it's one of the trickier parts of this game. And this particular Heartbreak path is a pain in the ass. Which, honestly, leads me into a low point with this game. I am not a fan of the Hermit stages. Why? Well, they're a bit tricky. Now granted, I love that every stage gives you something different. But I don't like these in particular because they feel a bit too slow. Now granted, the music is great, like in Night Drift. But I just feel like there could have been more done with it. You know, like it could have been more engaging. But this leads us to the Desert of Doubts. Now, when you're making a bargain with someone, you're filled with doubt. Or you are filled with concerns of what you're purchasing, correct? Now, what if in this case, the bargain was for time with someone? Now, this introduces us to the Chariot card. And instead of a motorcycle, we get a freaking speed car! Now, it doesn't seem like you can do much with it, but you can get points via drifting. So try to drift as much as possible when you get the chance to on these winding roads, because they will increase your points by a bit. Now where this gets interesting is when the paths start to split. Like so. Stay on the left path for this first gold card, because it's going to be right here on this ramp. Now, once you're down, go to the right-hand side and stay on that right-hand path, because that's where the next gold card is going to be. This stage doesn't offer much in terms of point opportunities, but switching between the lanes is how you're going to increase your point value. So don't feel too bad about changing lanes to get hearts, but time it carefully, because as you're probably noticing, there are rocks on the path, and the last thing you want to do is crash into a rock and wreck your car. Huh, a bit indicative of real life too. Alright, jump the ramps, get the hearts, and do some sick drifts. Now the final gold heart in this level is going to be on this lane. So my strategy is to grab as many hearts as possible beforehand, and then just grab this card. And we'll be introduced to the Hermit.
Gold rank.
Or in this case, Hermit 64. Now for those of you who grew up in the N64 era of games, that's a nice little nod and wink. And yeah, the next song, Revere, well, it's gonna change things up a bit. Notice that Hermit 64 had a VR headset. That's gonna factor in very heavily. Because this girl uses the world card. For what? Well, how about turning us into a game cartridge, slotting us into her VR headset, and now we're essentially playing a Virtual Boy game. Yeah. Like I said, this game takes risks. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. With Night Drift, nuh-uh, didn't work. Here, though, it works. First off, the soft tones of the music feel like you're underwater almost. Like you're exploring a submarine, or like an underwater level. But it's first person, so it's like you're actually moving as the thing goes through. And unlike most of the levels in this game, you actually get to feel that firsthand, which is really awesome. And again, that's where I feel like the risk-taking and trying different things shines through, because each level can be different. But then again, there are some levels that just feel a bit at odds with itself. So yeah, in this case, with Revere, or Reverie, I don't know how that word's pronounced, honestly it confuses me, it works, because it feels like you're flying through the games of old. Like here, you're flying through Tetris blocks, or Tetrominoes, as they're coming towards you. You're gonna have to be quick on your feet to dodge them, and collect as many heart points as possible. Which can be done, but it's a little tricky. And now you'll notice that the walls are flashing. Just be at the right wall at the right time and you'll fly right through it. Like so. Now the trick here is try and get as high as possible so you can get the final gold card up here and maximize your points. And as you notice, we've been playing as an icon this whole time, which is a little weird, but again, this game in and of itself is a bit of an oddball. Did I score again? Huh. Well, okay then. And this leads into Hermit 64's final stage, The World We Knew. And once again, since we're in a VR headset, they do something a little different. And this is the slowest song in the game, and honestly the most melodic. But it can be a bit tricky, and I'll explain why. In this instance, you're literally playing as the head of your main character, and you have to dodge all of these little blocks and shots and such. Kind of like an old, vector graphic type game. So your motions have to be perfect. Otherwise, you will hit the side and you will lose your point game. And that's the last thing you want to do in a game like this, is lose all your combos. So be careful how you move. Grab as many points as possible per section, because much like a video game, it goes in sections, which, I'm sorry, this is kind of a meta thing. You're playing a video game in a video game. That's kind of nuts. But now is where it gets interesting, because now you get to fire things. Now, this is an automatic sequence, so you don't actually get to press the button to fire it. But it's still kind of cool the way the music crescendos as the bullets are firing. It's a nice touch. Now, in terms of the lyric songs in this game, this one ranks up there as one of my favorites. For me, it's number 3. Number 2 is Dead of Night, and number 1, well, you'll find out soon enough. Now is where we get actual spaceships shooting at us. So what you have to do here is just collect as many hearts on the side as possible. Now, the rotating cannons can be a bit tricky. So what I do is I find out what motion they're going in, and then I fly in correspondence to it. So down and up. And I don't try to take too many risks with this part, because those little square bullets can hit you and can end your life. And that will ruin your combo chain, and that sucks. Fly through the middle here, grab the 5 hearts, move to the left-hand side for that spinner, then move to the right hand for this one. And now, the maze. It's simple. All you gotta do is fly through the maze, collect the hearts, and just rack up the points. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The final gold card is here. So just grab it, but watch out! There's a bomb that spawns right there, and will shoot little icy needles. At least that's what I like to call them, because honestly, these things will ruin your day if you're too close! Like so, I could have bit it right then and there. But this leads on to the final part of Hermit 64's level, is Hermit's heart. Now, what Hermit's gonna do is fire missiles. Once they fire, let them lock onto you, and then move, as quick as you can. Because if you don't, you'll get blasted, and it's game over. So you gotta be careful, but thankfully this is where you start shooting, and this is where you can rack it up again. Almost bit it there. And this is where you charge up, and you finish off Hermit. And that takes care of the Desert of Doubt. Now, if you'll notice or remember, when we were introduced to Hermit, they had a stack of things with them. I believe that the main character was basically trying to find a way to escape everything that they were dealing with, all the emotions that they had pent up inside. And so they were going to someone who was offering them an escape in the virtual world, and was bargaining with them to try and find the deepest way to escape. And this is the 4th stage of grief for me, because at this point, I think she's starting to realize that bargaining for things like this and trying to escape her reality isn't going to help her move forward. The only way she can move forward is to accept it, which leads me to the final path in this game. The path of the death card. And this is where it gets interesting, because every Heartbreak subspace has had a theme. With death? Wait, the star? Yeah. we're starting off on a boat, specifically a sailboat. The trick here is to swim through the rings and collect as many points from them as possible. Ride this wave and tap slightly to the left to get the first gold card. So the first thing you do is going to grab these rings as you sail through the ocean of the Heartbreak subspace. Now notice there are rings spinning horizontally. What you're going to do is go against their current, like so, and collect the hearts this way. That way you can maximize how many you get. You're going to do this a few more times, get as many hearts as possible, and this is also where you're going to get the second gold card. Once you do this, you should have at least 20,000 points, give or take, depending on how many hearts you get. And now, well, time to make the drop. Literally. Now we're dropping through the subspace and collecting hearts as we go through. The third gold card is in this drop, and it is the trickiest of the gold cards to get in this game. Why? Because not only do you have to be very specific about it, you also have to make sure you're in the right position to get it. If not, you're crashing into the wall, or you're gonna miss it by just a fraction of an inch like I did. Trust me, it's really hard to get, so if you miss it, don't feel discouraged. Hit the paths, teleport, and you are through.
Gold rank.
And this leads us to the final section of this game, the death levels. Starting with one of my personal favorite tracks to play, and personal favorite hype songs, Transonic Gravity. If you notice the score, it's 83,000. I've played this song the most. And this introduces us to Love Dead City. The title alone should give you the final piece of the puzzle. Love Dead. She's lost the ability to love, but being here, she's trying to accept what's happened to her and move past it. Now here's where we're introduced to the final major mechanic, well, one of the final major mechanics, the jumps. Basically hit those ramps and flip over. Now in this section, flipping at the right time will get you the most points. For instance, don't flip here, but flip here to get these hearts. Hit the center, and then get introduced to our final boss. She doesn't seem like much, but trust me, she is a force of nature. With lightning! So, with the lightning rails added, now you have to be careful of moving to the side. You don't want to go too far to the left or too far to the right. Now, I screwed up and went to the left path, but the right path is where the final gold card is going to be. A lot of heart cubes here, so just blast them in order from right to left, double down, hit the 3 at the end, and you're going to have a lot of points to run with. Now, unfortunately, I missed the gold card, so my score isn't going to be as high, but I'm just here to show you the level and just how freaking nuts it can be. And even then, 68,000 ain't bad. And our little evil person here summons a series of skulls with wings, thus introducing us to Little Death and her army of flying skulls known as the Hate Skulls. And that in and of itself spells a lot, because sometimes when you lose someone, you can come to hate them because they left you alone, but it wasn't their fault. Now this introduces us to the Temperance Bow. And yes, we're going to be using a bow and arrow to shoot flying skulls out of the sky. Is this game weird yet? Probably. So yeah, the best way to handle this is to try and shoot them in a certain sequence so that way you can get combos. So instead of shooting them right away, wait for them to come together and then shoot them to get small, medium, large, or extra large combos. Personally, the extra large combo is the way to go. So here's a good example of that. Shoot down the 10 here, and you'll get a large combo. But if you shoot them down before those 6 cubes comes up, you'll get an extra large combo. Or here, shoot down the 10, bam! Large combo in the game. Alright, now gold card up ahead, hit the boost, hit the ramp, and just blast these skulls out of the sky. And blast the cubes too, for good measure. and you'll meet up with Little Death for the final lyric song of the game. But is it the last song? Oh no, there's one after it. But let's take a dive inside to see what this level has to offer. Now this level, I've got down to a science. And I'll show you that science now. And in terms of the lyric songs, this one is my #1 for this game. Why? Not only does it have a really good beat, the lyrics are catchy. I wish I could play them for you, but I want to show you how I handle this. So basically, follow the paths, combo the 4 here, and as soon as she's hit, move towards the right side. Grab the 2 hearts, get the gold card here, and slide back onto the path. And then hit the ramp. Now, combo the 5 here, and just drive through. And of course, Little Death is cocky, so she's gonna mock you and summon the Sun card, which is essentially a giant electric barricade. Blast them in a circular pattern, and you're good to go. Now, for those of you who are fans of F-Zero, you're gonna love this part, because you're literally spinning through tubes, grabbing hearts and avoiding electric fields. So just spin around to where the hearts are, avoid the fields, and jump! Now spin here so you can get extra hearts. Here's what I like to do. Left to get the hearts, then go to the right to combo up. And jump! Alright, hit the ramps on the left side, and just slowly make your way to each one. Hit this ramp, fly through, and you're good to go. What I also love about this level is that it goes back to the traditional chase scene, but it also combos in everything you've learned thus far. And it sort of gives you a final feeling. Yeah, sorry, I'm just enjoying the level at this point, because honestly, the pace of it is really solid. It's got a good pace, and it keeps you moving and keeps you guessing. Now here's where we charge up our punch to knock this girl out. 1, 2, and 3. Now, this part's gonna be a little weird, because unlike riding on a road, you're literally riding on vomit. A little weird, but hey, what can you do? This game is absolutely out there, and that's why I love it so much. But yeah, basically you're riding on her trail. So basically just ride through it, spin around to get the hearts, watch out for those electric fields because they're going to hit you as soon as they hit the tubes. Time your jumps. I also love the callbacks to like previous levels in some instances. Like the Flight Spheres, Dancing Devils, you know, simple things like that. Charge up that final punch and knock this child out of the sky! And notice the vile hearts she had within her. Well, Death does collect quite a fair amount of souls. So the best thing to do is shoot all those hearts to get a large combo, and then those cubes. But what's this? She's not done yet. But notice her visage. She looks kind of familiar, doesn't she? That hairstyle looks kind of like us, doesn't it? Almost as if she's starting to face her inner demons. Notice that big eye? That big eye is gonna be haunting us quite soon. One final jump, charge up your Aero Blast, and knock her down! And that's how you get a high score inside this level. But we're not done quite yet. I figured since we're nearing the end of it, might as well just go all the way and make this a finale with the final song, Wild Hearts Never Die. And if you notice the way that she looks with each of the masks, I think the final piece of my theory comes into play. With this song, she finally accepts everything that's happened and all the feelings she's come to know, and she moves forward. But before she can do that, there's one last thing we gotta do. And that is take down if it would take a minute to load, this giant eyeball with all 5 of the Vile Hearts. Now, this level in particular is where things get hectic. You're going to have to dodge like crazy, and be sure to combo as much as possible. in order to get a successful run. Getting 700,000 is not an easy feat, but it can be done. So slide left to the right, to the left, to the right, while also dodging the giant eye, or the evil eye as it's called, as it spins the tarot cards at you. Now here's where you can get a lot of points by sliding. Just move all the way to the left or right, and watch for the wheels to glow. Once they're glowing, quickly tilt back, hit the center, and yeah, the evil eye is going to literally throw tarot cards at you to try and stop you. So just avoid it as best you can, and you'll be good to go. And yeah, it also shoots at you, as if you had enough problems on your hand. So just dodge. Now, bait them to shoot here, then move, and just get the hearts. Alright, dodge again. Grab the first card here. And just keep moving left to right, while watching out for the cards hitting you, as well as the bullets. Now, this is where most of my runs usually end, because I have problems baiting it here. Yeah, I usually get hit here, because baiting this part of the eye is a little tricky. But if you can move it just right, you can avoid getting blasted. Grab the hearts. Now, here's where you can rack up a lot. If you do the extra large combos, like I mentioned before, you can easily get a good point lead up here, even if you've taken a hit. Alright, so just blast away. Make sure to combo them as they're flying out, along with the cubes that are in the center, so that way you can get some mega points in. Alright, now here. Stay on one side. Don't try to risk going to a different side. Stick to that one. So that way you can stay alive. And it's time to fly. Now they're pulling out all the stops to stop you. But just fly around in a circular pattern. Jump! And stab that eye down! And that takes care of the Vile Hearts. But what's this? You've lost your powers. That's because this is where you, the main character, finally accept oneself. And that entails playing through every section of the game one final time as a rogue. And this is honestly where I feel like the acceptance part comes into play. Because at this point, she's dealt with it all, and she knows that this is what she is, and what she's dealt with. And now she accepts it all, and embraces it. From the Dancing Devils to the Howling Moons, this is her acceptance. And notice that you're using the skateboard that you started with, not any fancy gears or motorcycles or cars, although the deer does make an appearance to help you out, because hey, the Emperor's gonna help a brother out, or help a sister out. But instead of punching your enemies down, you embrace them. You accept the emotion within you instead of allowing it to fester and knock it down. You accept what it is, and you move forward. Much like when it comes to grief, you accept they're gone. Sure, you're gonna miss them, but the memories you made with them will always be there with you. And with that, you can move forward. Even with death looming in the horizon, you can always find a way to move forward. And that's what I love about this game. The interpretation that this person lost someone and is trying to move forward with their life, even with that loss. And once you take down the last of yourself and accept that final piece, time for the last ride on a mother frickin' dragon!
Then the voices of the three divine arcana echoed from the beyond. And through the wind, their words soared.
I'm just gonna let the narration speak for itself.
From the stars to your broken heart, the real character has risen. You have restored the lost harmony of the world. Now you must go and find harmony in your home. Sayonara.
And that line about finding harmony in your own life, sometimes when we lose something so great, we lose sight of who we are. we lose sight of where we have been, and we lose ourselves along the way. And sometimes we have to do something great to find our groove, find our way back. And that's why I love this theory, because it shows that no matter how difficult the hardship, you can always bounce back and become stronger. You can always find a way to become a better version of yourself and move forward from even the greatest tragedies. And much like we started, we catch the butterfly, but instead, we find ourselves and restore our heart.
Not long ago, in a town much like yours, there was a young woman who fell out of love, asleep, away. For years she fell through spirals of sadness and anger until she could not fall any deeper and fell right back into her grave.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Sayonara Wild Hearts. A simple game, but a powerful message. And honestly, I hope that by showing this game to you, I can basically show you why it helped in the hard times I had to deal with, and I'm still dealing with. This game, it helps me relax. It puts me at peace. It gives me a challenge, and it makes me think. And honestly, the combination of the visuals, the music, the gameplay styles, it's all wonderful to me. And I honestly started the year with this game. And knowing me, I'm going to be playing it all year round because there's so much that you can still do after the fact. There's a full arcade run that lets you play through all of the levels at once. There's a one life mode where you can do that very same thing, but on one life. One hit, you're done. You know, there's the Zodiac riddles, which you have to do specific things in specific levels or specific scenarios. I love this game. I can honestly say this is, bar none, one of my favorite games. And I say that about a lot of independent games because, yeah, independent games can create some beautiful stories. And sometimes the story isn't even the forefront. A game like this, the story isn't the reason you're playing, it's the action. But you can interpret it in so many different ways. Kind of like what I did, with a lover who lost someone they cared deeply for, someone they loved, but they found the strength to move on and find themselves again. It's a beautiful game, and I highly recommend, if you have a Switch, PS4, Apple Arcade, even Steam, pick it up. It's truly a wonderful experience.
Sayonara, Wild Hearts!
But with that, the main part of this series is over. I'm gonna upload one more video on this game, which is essentially an arcade playthrough with just the music. I've done enough commentary on this game as it is. I want you guys to enjoy the music for what it's worth, as well as tight gameplay on it. So, the last video on this is gonna be a full arcade run, so look forward to that sometime soon. But until that comes, thank you all so much for watching this rather short series. I figured since I was gone, you guys deserved a little extra. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment in the boxes below, letting me know your favorite moments and your favorite levels from this series. Also be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and turn on all notifications, so you know the next time I find something like this. If you guys would like to hear me gush about games that I thoroughly enjoy in the future, let me know. I'd love to share some of my favorite gaming experiences with you. Also, share this video around. Your continued viewership and support is always greatly appreciated. And with that said, this is Kyzer Akron, and I'll see you next Let's Play. Sayonara, you wild hearts.
So long.